The way we're going to animate this play button is by using the video animation tools in Photoshop, which are the ones where you actually make keyframes for your animation, like we did with the bouncing ball. So let's go ahead and create one. So I'm going to change this from create frame animation to create video timeline. Then I'm going to go ahead and click that and create that. So the first thing I want to animate are these back lights. I want to animate them to look like they're rotating around the button. So we need to find that layer and we need to convert it into a smart object. So once I find that layer, I'll right click and then come up to convert to smart object. So now that's a smart object. Now we can find that in our timeline. So we'll come down to that layer and then we're going to open it up. Then we want to come down to the transform and we're going to add a keyframe at this position. Then we're going to go ahead and scoot forward. And then using our transform tool, we can go ahead and rotate this around. Now you'll see right here in the corner where I'm rotating that it shows the degrees in which I've rotated so far. And we want to rotate that to about 179 degrees. So we don't want a full 180 degrees. And the reason for this is because if we go to a full 180 degrees, Photoshop is not going to know in which direction it's rotating, and it's just going to take a wild guess. By making it just slightly less than 180 degrees, it knows that it needs to rotate from here and around to there. So let's go ahead and drop in that keyframe by hitting enter, and that adds in that keyframe. So now if we scrub between those two, you'll see it rotates from there to there. Now we want to rotate it all the way back to the other side. So we need to scrub forward, and then we're going to use the transform tool once more, and we're going to rotate that until it gets all the way back to almost 0. So we're going to go to about -1. Perfect. So now let's scrub between those two. We'll hit enter to solidify that and add in that keyframe. So now it rotates from there to there. So now it's rotating all the way around, which is what we want. Next, what we want to do is we want to animate our play button icon to appear like it's glowing and fading in and then out. The way we're going to do that is by first converting our play button icon into a smart object. So we're going to come over to that layer, right click, and then convert to smart object. Next, we're going to come up to that layer in our timeline, and we're going to open that up. Now, so we can see our other keyframes, I'm going to go ahead and stretch out this window like so. So now I can see all the way down to the bottom and see where my other keyframes are. Now, for our first keyframe, we want to set our style keyframe. So down here, there's the style keyframe. We're going to add one in, so it starts out like so. Then I'm going to scrub that forward to our second keyframe, so it matches up down here with this keyframe. And I'm going to change our style. So I'm going to come over to our layer, and I'm going to add an effects to it. And I'm going to add an outer glow. So this is going to be a second outer glow, but it's going to be much more powerful. So I'm going to put my opacity at about 85%, maybe a little bit lower. And I'm going to bring my size down to about 20, maybe a little bit higher. About 57% should be good. And I'm going to change my color to a lighter blue, so about there. Hit OK. So something like that should work. So we'll go OK. And so now you'll see when we scrub between those two, the style on our image changes. So from there to there, it glows and then unglows. Next, let's go ahead and scrub forward to our third frame. And what I want to do here is I want to turn off our outer glow by hitting this eyeball icon right there. And now that is going to fade on and off like so as it rotates. So let's go ahead and play that and see how it looks. Great. Now I think it looks a little bit too fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stretch these out. So I'm going to select these two right there, and I'm going to select these two down here also. Now the way I'm selecting those is by holding down Shift as I select them, and that allows me to select multiple keyframes at a time. Then I'm going to go ahead and drag those out like so, and then I just want to grab the last two and drag those out like so. And I'm just eyeballing in about the same distance between each one. Now let's go ahead and play those and see how they look. All right, I think that looks better. Now let's go ahead and drag the end of our animation to our last keyframe. Now let's play that. Great. Now I have my animation set to forever. If yours is not set to loop, what you can do is you can come over here to our timeline tab, which is this little icon there, click on it, and then you want to come up to loop playback, and that will allow you to play it back over and over again. So now that your animation is complete, how do you save this out for a game? Well, the way you need to save it out is as a GIF. A GIF document allows you to save out animations as a flattened file. So we're going to come up to File, and then we're going to come down to Export, and then we want to come over to where it says Save for Web. Now, this window allows you to save out GIFs. So we want to make sure that this is set to no dither, make sure that this is set to GIF, and we want to set this to 128 colors. That should be enough colors to get our whole animation in there. If we go any higher to 256 colors, it makes it very hard for the GIF to play and can slow it down. So we'll leave that at 128. And then we want to make sure that our looping option is set to forever. That way it plays over and over again. Now let's go ahead and save this out. And I'm just going to save it out as playbuttonanimation.gif. Hit save. And now that's saved out. Let's go ahead and open that up and see how that looks as a GIF. So if you come into your folders, and then I'm going to open up our animation GIF. And there it is. Alright, that brings us to the end of this lecture. So what I want you to do is I want you to recreate the same exact project, but I want you to change it up a little bit. Change the color of the glow, maybe change the speed of the rotation, and also you could even add in more rotating lights around your button if you feel like it. I really want you to get familiar with how to use the video tool in Photoshop. Thanks for watching this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.